We're going to make a fabric flower out of combinations of fabrics all put together and with a small pin on the back, and they make for a wonderful decorative thing to put on with a dress or a shirt or anything. So you need to choose yourself some color schemes and fabrics that you like. Anything that, if you have a particular piece of clothes and you want to match it to that or whatever. But I have some sort of Asian feeling cloth, and the first step is to just cut yourself some simple sloppy-ish squares, rough squares, whatever, because you're going to be cutting circles out of, and they can be varying sizes. You're basically going to be working from the largest into the smallest. And I also am going to use some of this gauzy stuff, which is a little trickier to work with, but same idea. You just cut yourself a piece of it that you're going to cut a circle out of later. So I'm sticking with a pretty simple motif this time, but you can do all kinds of mixes of colors and things. So I have my little stash of squares and gauzes here. And so first thing I'm going to do is start by cutting the circles, and just to swoop around. You can look at the patterns in the fabric and decide what parts you might want to emphasize. If there are jutting little places, I tend to go back and get rid of them. So, and put the scraps aside. You might need some of those bits and pieces later. So on this fabric, I like it because you can use the back and the front to, as you work in, to make the feel of a flower. The back has some beautiful colors too. I'm going to try to save this butterfly in here, even though he might well get covered up in the long run. So lots of around in circles, and I'll do one gauze one just to get the idea. Okay, so I'm cutting around the gauze. So I've got all our little designs and things ready to go. I might not do the entire thing. Now you need a little candle, whatever kind of candle you want. You need something to sear the edges so they won't fray. So these little tea light candles seem to work pretty well. And this fabric is the easiest to work with because it's got some body to it. So you just are going to take the edges around the flame, moving enough to keep it from burning, but also watching, and you can see, I test it by pinching at it like that, and you can see where it hasn't melted enough yet, but it just has a little melting along the edge to keep that from fraying. You take the whole thing, give it a little testing with the pull technique, and as soon as that's done, you can lay it aside and go on to the next one. I'm going to show you a gauze because they're a lot trickier. You have to really move it fast. I like the way it curls because it gives you the sense of the shape of a real petal, but it can go fast and shrink up because whatever the synthetic is, it melts away in the heat. So you have to kind of move it, find the place that helps it to, but you can see what a nice sort of flowery feeling it gives you. So you're going to be building up layers, and I probably would take another of these, sear it, and then use the opposite side, or maybe in reverse. Do that, and you start to build up layers, working your way into the middle, smaller and smaller. So I'll just show you. Now the final one might be as small as this. After you've seared it, every single one has to be seared, or else you're going to have a frizzly, frazzled mess at the end. So you would have worked your way down. Put this bigger one up here. This one, and I need a smaller one. Maybe a little bit more gauze. I'm not doing this fully for every step. I would sear that all the way around and then lay it in to keep your petals moving in. And be a little bit more gauze, which is I'm going to cut this one a little bit smaller but I allow a little extra on the gauze because of the shriveling. It really gets a lot smaller when you hit it with the heat. Puckers in. You can even go around a few times to keep it puckering. So I'm trying to judge the right size to maybe I'll put that on top of that. And then you can do as many layers as you want. You could find other colors that work well with this. I'm making this a simple one just for the sake of time here. And then you need some buttons, pretty buttons that will complement what you've done. I've actually got this little one I can put in there too. So it's sort of fun to test out different possibilities, and I think I'll just go with a really bright, nice turquoise. And then you're going to need a needle and thread. So actually this one's all threaded up so I can use it, and I double it for extra strength, and I'm also using thread that's heavy duty, so it will make a good secure hold for all that fabric in the button. So I make a little knot and hold all the layers together with my thumb, get them arranged in the way that I like, and then put the needle through from the back, find that first hole, come right up, pull it tight, just go back down, and I usually do about 3 repetitions of that for extra strength. It takes some poking around to find it sometimes. Up and down again. And once more for really secure. And then I flip it to the back and knot it off on the back and cross the stitches there. Make a good strong knot. Alrighty, so we're going to snip that off, and now it's time to put on a clasp. So these you can get at any fabric or craft store. Simple little, I don't know what to call these, just a little twist clasp. And for this I need a glue gun. So I'm going to make just a little, I'm going to check and see if there's a direction that I particularly like. I think I'll make this the top. So when I go across this way and make it just a little ribbon the size of the clasp. And then I'm going to press the clasp down into it. If the knot has made a bump, you want to go a little bit above it or below it so that the clasp can lie nice and flat. And then I'm going to open the clasp up because we don't want all of this goop showing. So we're going to open that up, and we're going to cut a little piece of fabric from the fabrics we've been using that will make a little tab over that to make it narrow enough in the center so that it can fit over the clasp. You can test that. A little bit fat. And again, I need to sear it so that we don't have frizzed edges. Just need to take a run around the outside of that. Amazing how you can do this and not even get your fingers. After a while, you get used to it. For this, I decided to use fabric glue. It seems easier than the glue gun that is kind of stringy and hard. So this is called fabric tack. And again, you can get it at a hobby store. And it's just a matter of squeezing it out and laying it on whichever side of this you want to use. Get it all around the edges. Whoops. Try not to glue yourself too much. And then you're just ready to lay that. By the time you get this done, the glue gun has dried up. You just lay that across. It covers up all that sloppy stuff under there. Press it down. And there's the clasp. You can close up and voila! You have a pretty pin with all kinds of possibilities of different colors, fabrics, and gifts.